YouTube, what is going on? It is your boy Sports Culture, and I'm back with another video here today. And in this video, it's going to be another mock draft for the Green Bay Packers. But in this one, we're going to be trading with Jaire Alexander for a draft pick, and then using that draft pick in a mock draft. We don't specifically know yet what we're going to do with Jaire Alexander. If we're going to be able to find a legit trade partner for Jaire Alexander and get a draft pick for him in return, or just simply releasing him. Hopefully, in real life, we do find a trade partner for him and at least get a draft pick in return. It really sucks if we just simply release them and don't get nothing in return. But without further ado, man, let's get right into this video. If you're interested in more draft intel videos for the Packers and mock drafts in general, please consider subscribing. I made a mock draft yesterday for the Green Bay Packers post-combine. I'll leave the link to the video somewhere right here, or I will leave the link in the description. So without further ado, man, let's get right into this mock draft. So I did make a trade with the Baltimore Ravens. We are trading Jaire Alexander to the Baltimore Ravens for a 4th round pick, which is the 128th pick in this year's draft class. I feel like Jaire Alexander's value is at most a 3rd round pick to at least, or to at minimum to a 5th round pick. That's just how I feel. I feel like in real life, though, a 4th round pick would be very, very realistic for Jaire Alexander. Maybe a 4th round pick and a 6th on top of that. But this is the trade I did for Jaire Alexander. We're sending him to the Baltimore Ravens. I feel like this would be a very realistic team that would trade for Jaire Alexander, them and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But this is the trade. I will get back to you guys when I get to the 1st round pick. So here we are at pick 23, and just hear me out. There is a lot of great players on the board, but I'm actually going to trade down, hopefully with the Bills or one of these teams like the Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles, or the Browns. Trade back to one of those picks and then select, hopefully, Darius Alexander, Derek Carman, Walter Nolan, or even a guy like James Pierce Jr. if he falls to us. Will Johnson did get selected at pick 22 right before us to the Chargers, and if I knew he was going to get drafted this late, I would have traded up instantly with the Chargers and made that selection, but I had this thing on turbo speed, so I didn't even see that happen. That's kind of crazy that Will Johnson is falling this far in mock drafts now, so who knows, man. If draft day, Will Johnson is falling past pick 15, hopefully the Packers, trade up and go get that dude, man, because that dude is a top 3 cornerback in this year's draft class, without a doubt. So I will get back to you guys when I make a trade and who I make the trade with. So we have made a trade with the Cleveland Browns. We're giving them pick 23, and we got pick 33, 67, and 165. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles, none of them wanted this pick at all. They didn't want to make any trade, so it is what it is. Hopefully one of these guys that I named fall to us at pick 33. If not, we will change gears and probably go with the best cornerback available, or even best edge available. So here we are, pick 33, and Derek Carman actually did fall to us at pick 33. So with this pick, we are going with Derek Carman, the defensive tackle from Oregon. Huge fan of his game. I think he's a top 3 defensive tackle in this year's draft class. Dude is being compared to guys such as Chris Jones. So if he could be anything like Chris Jones for this Packers defense, we have a game record from the interior. 6'5", 310 pounds, and that blew my mind when I first looked him up. When I watched film on him the first time, I just simply watched his all-22 film. I didn't do any research on him. I didn't look up his height, his weight, his frame, nothing like that. And I thought, man, this guy has to be like a shorter defensive tackle, around like 6'2", 6'1", 6'3". And then I looked up his height, and I was like, he's 6'5". What? And the reason that was surprising to me is because he plays with such low leverage. He plays so low. His pad level is phenomenal. Like, later on throughout the games when he's more fatigued, his pad level does shoot up, but that's just a natural thing with these bigger defensive tackles, in my opinion. Dude has really good upper body strength. He has some violent, fast, active hands, really good hand placement. When he gets his hands on guys, I mean, he's able to move them very, very well. He's able to get to the backfield very, very fast. In the Packers' fashion, man, he just simply misses tackles, and that was the one thing that I saw in film was he'd get to the backfield in a hurry. He'd hit a really sick rip move, get past the guard or the center, whoever was aligned in front of him, and he just simply missed the tackle on the running back or the quarterback, whoever was right there. So we'd like to see him clean that up a little bit more at the next level. But this year in 2024, had an 83.9 PFF grade, played in 14 games, had 591 defensive snaps, 346 pass rush snaps, 243 run defense snaps, 5 sacks, 7 hits, 43 hurries from the interior, which is just, that's elite, man. That is production and disruption on another level, and then 2 batted passes. So very, very elite year from him. Had an 86.3 pass rush grade, had an 80.5 run defense grade, had a 91.2 true pass rush grade, had a 17.6 pass rush win rate, which is just that's top notch, man, from the interior. That is elite, and had a 7.1 run stop rate. He's a phenomenal processor of the game. I feel like he knows where the ball is going. He has the ability to really disengage from blocks fairly well. But it's just the misses on film when he has the opportunity to just blow up a play. that just happen when you see it on film. So would like to see him clean up his tackling technique at the next level. But I think this guy Derek Carman, man, he has the potential to be like a Chris Jones, a Kenny Clark. I mean, one of these top defensive tackles in the NFL. And with this pick, we are going to go with Derek Carman, the defensive tackle from Oregon. So here we are, pick 55, and I sold the bag. Had the thing on slow. I was watching this play by play or pick by pick, and Trey Amos when I picked 51, and I told myself I'm gonna trade up with the Steelers because I don't want Shavon Reveal to be drafted. And the Steelers pick came, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna let the Steelers pick because they're already this far. He's gonna fall. Nope, he got drafted by the Steelers. So that is on me. I should have probably traded up. With this pick though, man, there's a lot of positions I could go with. I was thinking about going cornerback right here, and I probably should. You guys like Darian Porter and Benjamin Morrison on the board, but we have pick 67, and I don't think this time I'm gonna allow one of these guys to get drafted or allow both of these guys to get drafted. So whichever cornerback does go first, probably by the Bills, I will trade back up instantly to get one of these guys. With this pick though, man, it comes down to Braden Swinson, the edge from LSU, who has some elite quickness off the edge, man. The guy flies off the ball. Probably more of a 3-4, outside linebacker at the next level. Defensive end, 6'4", 250. Dude plays with some really good quick speed or a really quick first step off the edge. Think about Jared Ivory, the edge from Ole Miss, who, when I watched Princely Omanialian's film, Jared Ivory popped out a lot on the other side too, man. The dude is active with his hands. He has some really, really good hands. Has some solid bend. This year at 8 sacks, 1 quarterback hit, 31 hurries, and 3 batted passes. Had a pass rush win rate of 16.8. And when we look at his size, at 6'6", 285 pounds, and 23 years old, I mean, the guy has the size and frame you want from the edge position. And I think this is where I'm kind of leaning, man. I think I'm going with Jared Ivory, the edge from Ole Miss with this pick, man. Maybe doesn't have like the highest ceiling compared to a guy like Braden Swinson, or like athletic profile compared to a guy like Braden Swinson who I was just talking about, but as a pass rusher, I think he's a little bit better with his hands. I think he offers you more pass rush moves in his arsenal. I think as a run defender, he's a little bit more stout at holding the edge than a guy like Braden Swinson. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Braden Swinson, but I just think for this defensive scheme that we run for this Green Bay Packers team, and what we need at the defensive end position, I feel like Jared Ivey just has to be the pick over a guy like Braden Swinson. So with this pick, we are going with Jared Ivory, the edge from Ole Miss. So here we are, pick 67, and I didn't have to make any trade-ups. Darian Porter fell right to us at pick 67. And if you watch the Combine, this was one of the more impressive dudes overall at the Combine. I believe he had the RES score of a 9.99. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but he was definitely inside that 99 percentile. And he's definitely a raw prospect at the cornerback position, but has the frame you want from the cornerback position. 6'4", 200 pounds, is also older at 24 years old, but like I said, is a raw prospect, is a wide receiver converted to cornerback, and is a special teams maestro. One thing he would definitely give us for sure, and I don't know if you really want that as the main trait from a guy you're drafting early in round 3, but this guy is an elite special teams player, and that is one thing he will definitely give us, but is a raw prospect at the cornerback position. This year in 2024, played in 12 games, had 425 defensive snaps, 203 coverage snaps, 5 receptions on 17 targets, 70 yards allowed, which is phenomenal, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, so elite, and a passer rating of 4.7, which is just, these are like, I'm going to be honest, like, these are like college football 25, my career mode when you're playing DBs, like, statistics, like, to allow 70 yards only on the, like, in 12 game span, 0 touchdowns, have 3 interceptions, and a pass rating of 4.7, those seem like unreal numbers, and you're probably asking yourself, why isn't he being talked about more? It's because he's a little bit raw at the cornerback position, and for a guy who's 200 pounds, when you watch him on film, when you just look at his frame, I mean, he just looks like a thinner dude, and that's kind of my biggest concern with him. I don't know how his body's going to really hold up at the NFL level. With, like, he has a smaller frame, and he hasn't been playing the cornerback position for so long. He hasn't been playing defense for so long, so he hasn't been used to enduring the hits and taking those hits, per se. He hasn't been doing it for, so long. I wonder how his body's going to be able to hold up, especially, like, in cold weather like Green Bay and all that. But with this pick, we are going with Darian Porter, the cornerback from Iowa State. Has the frame, has the size you want from the cornerback one position. Is a bit older at 24 years old, though, but, if the Green Bay Packers could really just work with this athleticism, and grow him as a player. We're talking about somebody who has the athleticism to be like a top 15, top 10 cornerback in the NFL just because of his athleticism alone. So with this pick, we are going Darian Porter, the cornerback for Iowa State. And don't expect me to not draft another cornerback in this mock draft. So here we are, pick 84. Yes, pick 84. I actually made a trade up with the Denver Broncos. We traded away pick 87 and 251. The reason I did is because the Denver Broncos, the Steelers, and the Chargers, which are the three teams that picked before us, they are all in need of a wide receiver, and I couldn't let them take a guy like Jalen Royals before me. And the reason I was really desperate to do that is because Trey Harris actually got picked super early at pick 59 to the Baltimore Ravens, which I think that's a phenomenal fit for the Ravens. So I had to make the trade up just to secure us a wide receiver, and that is Jalen Royals, the wide receiver from Utah State. Christian Watson is probably going to be out for basically the whole year. I mean, we need somebody that could take the top off defenses, and Jalen Royals is a guy that has a background in track. He ran a solid 40. He's just a really dynamic player when you watch him. Really explosive with and without the ball in his hands. I think of him as Jaden Reed 2.0, just bigger, more athletic, thicker per se, and probably more explosive, man. 6 foot, 205 pounds, 22 years old, so he's fairly young. Then you talk about him and his ability after the catch. He could do that probably with the best in this year's draft class. I think he's right there behind Luther Burden in terms of yards after catch ability in this year's draft class. And then you want a guy that has the ability to go up there and come down with 50-50 balls. Jalen Royals at 6 foot has the ability to do that. Maybe not as elite as some guys in this year's draft class, but at 6 foot, he has the ability to really go up there and high point the football. In only 7 games this year, he had 55 receptions on 81 targets, had 839 receiving yards, 15.3 yards/reception, so he's being a big playmaker, and 6 touchdowns. I really do like Jalen Royals a lot, man. I'd be really, really happy with getting a guy like Jalen Royals, Trey Harris, Jaden Higgins, Alik Ayomayer, one of those guys, Matthew Golden at least, one of those guys in this year's draft class, man. I think if we could get one of those 5 wide receivers, I'd be really, really happy. So with this pick right here, we are going with Jalen Royals, the wide receiver from Utah State. So here we are, pick 124, and like I said, don't be surprised or don't doubt if I double down at cornerback in this mock draft. And with this pick, we're going to go with Noah Williams, the cornerback from Cal. Really, really do like this guy for this defensive scheme, man. We played a lot of zone coverage, which I really didn't expect with Jeff Hafley as the defensive coordinator, maybe because Jaire Alexander did get hurt early on. But we did play a lot of zone coverage, and Noah Williams is one of the more instinctive, better like ball skill cornerbacks in zone coverage in this year's draft class. The dude is very, very good in zone coverage, and he also has a great frame and size for the cornerback position at 6'1", 200 pounds. I thought his speed was fairly good, especially in like a short area distance. Long distance wise, I thought he could like he's a long strider, it looks like on film, but long distance wise, it kind of feels like he doesn't have that elite speed. But in a short area distance, I really liked what I saw. This year in 13 games, played 877 snaps, 535 cover snaps, allowed 31 receptions on 65 targets, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns allowed, but 7 interceptions. So he's able to turn that ball over, get these interceptions. Really like what I saw from Noah Williams on field. I feel like in man coverage, he could definitely get better. He's a little bit stiff at times when I watched him, like in trial technique and just in man coverage in general. I do think he could get better. I like his frame. I think he could get more physical at the line of scrimmage. But in zone coverage, which is what we played a lot more this year, with Jeff Hafley as the defensive coordinator, I liked what I saw from Noah Williams. I just feel like he's a perfect fit for this defense. Does get drafted 21% by Packers fans when they make mock drafts. So with this pick, we are going Noah Williams just to solidify us at the cornerback position and really get us 2 young cornerbacks, 2 guys that could really bring us some potential, and Darian Porter, who's not really that young, I should say, and Noah Williams as well, who are both 2 big physical cornerbacks that are very good at taking the ball away from the opposing team. So here we are, pick 160, and with this pick, we're gonna go ahead and get another edge rusher, and that is Jaw Joyner, the edge out of Minnesota. This is somebody who on film, man, displays, in my opinion, some upside, man. Like, he has a quick first step. He's 6'5", like 260-ish, 264-ish. I think that's what he weighed in, or that's what I checked last time. So like, he has some size to him. But when you watch him on film, like, he's a guy that he has a quick first step. He has really long arms. Like, I think his arm reach is around 35 inches. Like, that's long for the edge position. So you're talking about a guy that's really quick off the line, has some really solid quick first step, has some really long arms, but then has some violency and some power to his hands when he, uses them. And, I think as a run defender, he's never going to be like somebody that's really good per se. I think the angles he takes could really are really over aggressive and run him out the play sometimes. and I think he gets stood up in his run fit. So like, he's never gonna be elite as a run defender, but as a pass rusher, this is somebody that can maybe come in as third down and really just like get after the quarterback. Man, he's really quick off the line for a guy that's 6'5", 260 poundish, has some solid bend. Hand placement wise, I think it's solid. I definitely like to see him work on it. But he has some solid hand placement, violent hands, quick hands. Has a fair amount of pass rush moves in his arsenal. And then with this pick, we're going to go Jaire, the edge from Minnesota, just to get us more depth, more talent, and just some speed from the edge. So with this pick, we are going Jaire, the edge from Minnesota. So as I was editing this video, I actually realized I didn't record myself when I was drafting Seth McLaughlin, the center from Ohio State. Just a high IQ football center, or a football player. Kind of funny that he's going to be the guy that's replacing, in a sense, Josh Myers, and he's from Ohio State, and Josh Myers was also from Ohio State. We don't know what's going to happen with Josh Myers. My guess is we just probably let him test free agency. I'd be surprised if we do sign back Josh Myers, but you never know. Anything could happen, but we did draft Seth McLaughlin right here. He is a high football IQ football player. Calls out pre-snap blitzes. Seems like a leader from the middle of the field, or from the middle at the center position. Athleticism is okay. I mean, in a short area distance, he's able to pull very, very well. You can see the second level has some like malicious, evil intents when he hits some other dudes. He makes them feel it. But I'd say like as a run blocker, because his arms aren't the longest. I think his arm reach is only like around 31 inches to 30 inches. So it's not the longest. As a run blocker, I think that's where he has his biggest struggles. But as a pass blocker, I think he's solid. And just as an overall like center with a high football IQ, and somebody that could call like pre-snap blitzes and could call out blitzes in general and just be a leader from the middle, I think Seth McLaughlin is that guy. So with this pick, we did go Seth McLaughlin at 160, just to be that, maybe center of the future, or just to be a guy for sure that could come in and compete for that starting job at the center position. So here we are, pick 200, and with this pick, we're going to go with Cam Horsley, the defensive tackle or defensive lineman from Boston College. Just really like this fit because obviously Jeff Hafley coming from Boston College. Just feel like he know how to use this big dude from Boston College at 6'4", 306 pounds. He didn't run the 40 at the combine, but man, when you watched him on the back drills, he looked like a very fluid mover. And when you watch him on film, man, he does look like a fluid mover. Only having 3 sacks in his collegiate career, 2 it shows right here. But the dude, for his size, like, he has some fluidness to him. He's not very stiff when he pass rushes. Has some solid hand usage. I like his quickness from the line. It's nothing insane compared to some other defensive tackles, but for a dude that's that size, you don't expect him to really get off like that. Sorry about that, but I just like this pick right here for more depth. I mean, Kenny Clark is getting older. TJ Slane is still a free agent, so getting a guy like Cam Horsley doesn't hurt at all. Just getting more depth in that room. This year he had a 68.2 pass rush grade, had an 84.5 run defense grade. He's a big dude, man. He's physical. He's able to disengage and engage from blocks very, very well. Had a 71.3 true pass set pass rush grade. Had a 7.9 pass rush win rate, which is very solid for a guy like him. Had a 14.4 run stop rate. So with this pick, we are going with Cam Horsley, the defensive tackle out of Boston College. So here we are, pick 239, the final pick for this mock draft. And love it or hate it, I was going to go with the linebacker or go with somebody on the defensive side or even a receiver just to fill out this draft. But I'm going to end it off with the offensive lineman. I just feel like this is a very Packers-esque thing. And with this pick, we're going to go with Joe Huber, the guard slash tackle. Just played all over the offensive line from Wisconsin. Really just feels like a Packers pick. Has played right guard this year. Played 765 snaps at right guard this year. 825 snaps in 2023 at left guard. And then in 2022, played 854 snaps at right tackle. 6'5", 310. Just feels like he's a Packers like offensive lineman. He's in that frame. He's in that height. He's in that weight. He's played all over the offensive line. He's versatile. Just feels like a Packers pick. And this is how I'm going to end the mock draft. So with this pick, we're going with Joe Huber, the Wisconsin boy. So here is what PFF has graded my mock draft. With our first pick, we did go Derek Carman, which we did get by that trade back at pick 33. Got an A- for that. We're talking about a top 3 defensive tackle in this year's draft class. And someone that's being compared to Chris Jones. To me, that's A+. Second pick, we went Jared Ivory. And I know he's not an elite, top 10, in my opinion, like, edge rusher in this year's draft class, and doesn't have like that elite athletic profile and ceiling. But this is somebody who I think is going to be somebody who's pro ready, who's going to be a day one starter for one of these NFL teams if he does get drafted to a team that really desperately needs an edge, like the Packers. He's going to be somebody who's going to be fairly productive in the NFL, in my opinion, because he's 6'5", 260ish, offers you some bend, but has some really active, fast hands with some really good like violency in them. Offers you a good amount of pass rush moves, and he's good at the holding the edge because of his arm reach, or not his arm reach, but just because how active he is at using his hands. And then he's just stout at running, just holding the edge. So Jared Ivory, just a safe overall edge, pick for this mock draft. Nothing really insane in terms of like ceiling, but I just like him overall as a player. Just a really safe pick. Darian Porter, we got a pick 67. That was an A right there. I think that's a phenomenal pick. Jalen Royals, which we did kind of trade up for, got a B plus for that. I think that's a great pick. He's going to be a deep threat. Now that Christian Watson's probably going to be out for basically the whole year. Noah Williams was the other cornerback we took. I like this guy a lot for this defensive scheme. Very good in zone coverage, and the dude is very good at taking away the football. Had 7 interceptions this year, so just add that guy to our defense, and we're gonna get more turnovers and more interceptions as a whole in general. Jaw Joyner, we took at 160. Just a guy that's 6'5", 260, has a 35-inch arm reach, but has really good speed off the edge as a pass rusher. Then we got Seth McLaughlin, who I didn't talk about, but I am going to add a clip about him in the video. Didn't really record him when I drafted him, but I will add the clip. He's going to probably, be a guy that goes in there and maybe be the starter. He's a really high IQ football player, calls out blitzes very well, has some really good athleticism and a short your distance. I like his ability to pull. Cam Horsley is just more depth, got a D+ for that. And then the same thing with Joe Huber. He's a guy that just played all over the offensive line. Got a C for that. Our overall draft grade was A-. So let me know what you guys think about this draft in the comments. What you would have done different, which players you would have selected. It's been your boy Sports Culture. I'm out.